Okay, everybody ready? Now take a look there. See that stuff there? Okay, now three of these things belong together. Three of these things are kind of the same, but one of these things just doesn't belong here. And now it's time to play our game.
You beat it. What's happening, YouTube? Today, we're going to be reviewing our first of many Marvel Legends on the channel. And what we have here today is the Marvel Legends retro carded Webman. Now, to start things off, of course, if you collect Marvel Legends, you may know they reuse the same body molds a lot, which can make it feel like you're owning a lot of the same figure. But there's some stuff to talk about with this figure. Anyways, it actually uses a body that debuted with the original retro carded Marvel Legends Spider-Man figure, which I'd show you a comparison to.
If I had one! Sorry.
But, anyways, let's start per usual. We're gonna start from the head and then work our way down. We're going to talk about the aesthetic. I'll give you the rating on the aesthetic. We're going to talk about the articulation. I'll give you a rating on that. And, of course, accessories for last. But to start things off, the overall aesthetic. The overall aesthetic, I think, is pretty good for the price point of the figure. One thing that has bothered me a little bit about this body mold, it's two things. One, the head feels a smidget big. It could be just me, though. It might not be too big. But also, another thing that bothers me is I feel like the arms are a bit set a little bit low. Like, you see where his traps end right here? The shoulder should immediately be up here, but they're dropped down a little bit. So it makes his shoulders... He has droopy shoulders, is what I'm trying to say. And that's a little annoying. Another thing is, when I look at his legs, they're very defined, very muscular, but it almost feels like his lower legs are almost the same girth as his thighs. I would have made the thighs a bit bigger, or maybe the calves a bit smaller. Now, because, of course, at the end of the day, Spider-Man is a very slender character. 9 times out of 10. Very lean. He's lean, but very slender. What else? But yeah, that shoulder thing is definitely, I think, the biggest detractor in terms of the aesthetic of the action figure. So for aesthetic, I give it a, we'll say 7 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. So anyways, let's get into oh yeah, actually, we're not done with aesthetic. And we'll go through this. We're gonna talk about paint and articulation at the same time, because you're gonna see as I go through it. So the first thing first, head, I think looks pretty nice. Has a hinge joint. You look up that far. He can look down. You can look down that far. Now, one thing I don't like is that gapping back there. I don't like that at all. But I think it's not a deal breaker, but it's just something I don't like personally. Y'all might figure differently. So the head, can he tilt his head? He can't really tilt his head all that either. So up and down actually works really good. But in terms of tilting it side to side to give more expression to the figure, nah, not really. Not gonna really get that from this guy. Let's go to arms. Swivel at the top of the bicep. Now, as you can see, I don't know if you can see. Damn it, it's a little. Get some more lighter. I don't know if y'all can see that right here. Damn, it's tart. Hold on, people. That paint chipping right there. No bueno. But that's just a minor nick. But also, what you can see is it's somewhere back here on the arm. Right here. On the arm. It's a little bleeding coming through of red. Little red bleeding coming through right here. Hard to see on camera. Oh, you can see it. You kind of see it right there. So basically, the figure was molded all red, and then I guess they painted the blue on as well as painting the webbing on. The lines for the webbing is pretty. The decal or the lines for the webbing is pretty clean for the most part. I don't have any really bad flaws on my copy. I don't like this huge peg hole. I wish they could fill that up, but I don't like that hole in the back. Yeah, for the most part, paint is pretty good. Not too bad. It's a $20, $25 figure at the end of the day, so it's that to keep in mind. Back to the articulation though. Swivel at the top of the bicep, double hinge elbows. This is before Hasbro switched to the penless technology for the joints. He got an ab crunch. He crunches decently forward. Goes back decently. He got a little pot belly when he lean back, but it's all good. Waist swivel. It's fine, I guess, but it breaks the sculpt really bad. I don't like I don't like the way that looks either, at all. I think the way to go for something like that is the diaphragm joint, which you've seen me talk about if you watch my other reviews. Because when you put it so as I was saying, the best way to go when it comes to ab articulation or core articulation is a diaphragm joint. As you've seen, if you watch some of my other videos, my other reviews, best way to go is the diaphragm joint. Although I understand that sometimes the diaphragm joint doesn't work the best all the time. I think if you do it well, which Hasbro has done it well before, it's superior to the ab crunch. I never really cared for the aesthetic of the ab crunch, anyways. But moving on. Oh yeah, one thing I also want to mention. I said this had the same body mold as the retro carded Spider-Man. Actually, it doesn't. The retro carded Spider-Man has like a diaphragm joint at the top and like this ab crunch. I don't know why they didn't do that for this figure, but whatever. Moving on. Leg articulation. He could do the splits. Not bad at all. A Spider-Man figure should definitely be able to do the splits. It's unacceptable if you can't. He has a thigh swivel, top of the thigh, double jointed knee, and a wonderful ankle rocker. He could bring his leg back, not much because the buns is in the way. So that's something to think about for future Spider-Man figures. Watch, make it so I guess engineer it in a way that the buns don't get in the way for him to kick back. Overall, I would say the articulation altogether for a Spider-Man figure, 7.5 out of 10. It's okay, but it's not the worst. Definitely far from the worst. What else is left? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Let's just get into accessories. So in the packaging, what he comes with is, and I'm not even gonna take out the white paper to do this because he only comes with a couple of accessories to begin with. He comes with 2 of these fist hands, these 2 open palm hands, or wall crawling hands, I guess, for him, and 2 webbing hands. And I guess if for a $20 figure or $25 figure, because you know my Marvel Legends have been increasing in price, that's good enough, I guess. A web accessory could have been nice. Uh, this is like the bare minimum of accessories that I would expect for a Spider-Man figure. Wall crawling hands, the webbing hands, the fist hands, because he be punching, he be crawling walls, and he be spinning webs. So that's like the bare minimum. Overall, I think this is just as I was saying. Overall, this figure is if I could rate it, it would be 7.5 out of 10. It's not a must-have figure. I only got it because I like the inverse colors for Spider-Man. I like the blue being where the red is supposed to be, and the red being where the blue is supposed to be. Stay tuned for pictures after this, and stay tuned for the sneak peek for the next figure I'm going to review. Until then, have a blessed day. The reverse flow out.